All right. Red button means we are live. So good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I know this side of the country, it's quite in the late department. Depending on where you are, I suppose it could be a good time for Cody for once. Usually, I think he gets the raw end of the stick, but maybe this is the good one. I don't really know.
It's 5 a.m. Let's be honest.
5 a.m. So it's kind of, sort of reasonable, maybe. So yeah, really, really good. Really good live prepared for everybody with, I suppose, an out-and-out AMA, maybe a couple of updates as well of where things are at, but really focusing this on answering a lot of the community questions as well. So I won't take up too much time rabbiting on. I will just hand straight over. Who wants to kick us off?
Yeah, I can go. Thanks for that, Joe. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. First of all, I think, I need to especially thank all the community members for supporting me on Twitter. So it wasn't something that I was planning to do. And I started posting certain stuff and then I got carried away. But I think if you do think that you're enjoying the content, and if you think that I can post some other kind of content, please give me your feedback as well. So if there is something that I'm missing, there is something I can mention a little bit more upon. But yeah, anyways, let's get started. So I think I've got the questions already with me. Myself, Mike is there, and Cody will go through our questions one by one. And let's kick it off. So the first one is, when will L1X be provided with a fully working Explorer, gas cost, etc., and audit vulnerabilities fixes? Okay. Now, just I think we'll take a little bit of time explaining these things through as well, and I'll keep posting on Twitter as well based on certain things. You take an example of a house, right? You go to the bank, you ask for a loan. Now imagine the bank told you that you can't stay into the house and you can't start building the house until you pay back your whole loan amount. Now that's not possible, right? So I think we here a progressive development approach could have been taken. But anyways, with the Explorer, we currently have more than required information to get started on that. At the moment, we have a very deterministic fee model, right? And that is because we have created block rewards that are deterministic for the full validator nodes. And these fee models allow us to predict the price of the transaction. Number one. Number two, when you use the wallet SDK, there is a fee limit that you need to use as a parameter whenever you're sending a transaction. And the response that you get from the wallet SDK is actually the fee that was used, right? Now, we will add this to the Explorer as well, but we are working on a model where xtop transactions for the source and destination fee and L1X fee structure, they are added up in certain ways where we don't have to go and modify the Explorer again and again. So we will add it up, but they do have all the information required on the Explorer, and if not, I am more than happy to see what kind of information, because every time I get this question, it's all about, I can't see the transaction fees, but there is nothing else apart from that. So please let me know what kind of question are we talking about here, or content. With the audit fixes, the vulnerability fixes. So I think this is a good one because there is another question on this as well. So there were two reports that were provided by Hashlog. The first report was speaking specifically about the L1X VM, not only the WebAssembly or the LLVM IR to WebAssembly to LLVM IR and eBPF, but also about the processes, right? About the VM as a whole. We did get secure rating in there, but when the Hashlog report that we released was focusing on the development cycle process, meaning how well is the VM and the consensus code quality check on the integration done? That report, there were certain flags that were raised. Those are not related to the security because we made the report available out there, and our discussion with Hashlog was, okay, even if some hacker tried to use these kind of processes, they still wouldn't get access to the VM or the consensus. That's how I look at it. But anyways, we are working on those processes, because there are certain updates on consensus that are going on, and we are implementing those changes that they have asked for. But mainly those are like certification requirement on the code quality, right? So we are working on that. Okay, the next one is, when will we receive our free NFT, and when will the ELN begin the documents on how to start, and will the platinum holders have first preference? Okay, so I've written down the response and will release this as well. As mentioned, the free NFTs will be received in Q2, so we still have 10 more days to go. The team was pretty busy working on the Explorer and making changes to the L1X SDK, because we had like more than 100 developers trying out the SDK, and they've given some solid feedback. So we have been implementing those feedbacks as well. The ELN hosting will probably start in Q3 sometime this year. And let me give you some perspective here, because what we have done is we have modified one of the incentivization program of xtop node. And the way we have modified it is, when there are xtop based applications building with us, the revenue that the xtop nodes will earn is going to more than 5x. And these xtop nodes will not only be receiving revenue or rewards in L1X, but they will also be receiving rewards in other native coins. And the way this is being worked on is, whenever a transaction is to be sent to the destination chain, at that time, the xtop node, which acts as a signer, has to initiate that transaction on destination. Now, if there is an application wanting to use this feature, we have something called as an xtop savings account or a prepaid account. They will go and deposit certain native coins in there, and then based on how much the xtop signer spends, the xtop signer will be reimbursed with a commission on top of it. Now, gradually this model will move into L1X as a universal gas fee, but we would hope to release this model in the next 8 weeks once we have these applications out as well. And this is where the xtop node hosting will begin, and everyone that is building with us will have to have a savings account with the xtop signers and pay these transaction fees. Now, I'll get into the application stuff later on, because I've picked it up in the last 10 days and it's pretty crazy how we are going there. But yeah. Okay. Have you already distributed rewards to those 16 out of the first 100 who had problems with Experts V2? Not yet. I do remember that. So probably sometime early next month, I will do that. I already have a list of things in my backlog that I have to clear out. And once I finish those things next month sometime, I will release those rewards. But please follow my Twitter account. I'm not trying to sell, but if you want to be updated on the recent information on a hourly or 2 hourly basis, and also be rewarded. So what I'm doing is I'm creating certain questions that help us understand what the community is feeling, what milestones should we set for ourselves in terms of privatization. And there is like 100, 150 USDC on ETH rewards given out. I might do it twice a week or thrice a week, but please follow the Twitter account for information, and if you want to be rewarded into certain situations like that. How much is the bug bounty reward pool, and when will you start paying it out? Yeah, I think we are currently working on the hackathon model, and this one is probably targeting the improvement proposals, right? So once I finish the hackathon phase, then I will move on to the improvement proposals from the development perspective. Because right now I'm pretty tied up with the projects, with the hackathon stuff, creating proper documentation, creating like an environment where developers can come and code so they don't cheat. Yeah, so I will pick it up once we have the hackathon going. And again, these devs from the hackathon, itself will be rewarded based on when they find certain things. In terms of timeline, where does the latest report posted on? Okay, I think this is again with the L1X VM report. I've already mentioned about it. So let's just wait until we finish the optimization on the development process for L1X VM and consensus together. But all in all, the WebAssembly translator and the VM, they have been audited. And there are these 100 devs who have come in and tried it out as well. There are projects now, building on it. We haven't seen any leakage somewhere, or we haven't seen any security flaw somewhere that could target, the VM or the consensus yet. Before I go, Cody or Mike, do you want to pick it up next?
Yep. Cody, do you want to jump in first? I know you're short of time tonight, plus it's also 5 a.m. for you.
That's Cody's best function
come back.
time. 5 a.m.
Yeah.
He's charging.
Well, it's actually 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
normal.
He's 37 Red Bulls down. He's ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's on mute and he doesn't realize it. He's talking away, and yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks. Yeah, can you tell I pulled an all-nighter? All right. Yeah, let me just jump into a couple of these questions. Let's see. So there's been, with me jumping into the Discord quite a bit lately over the last couple of weeks, I've been answering a lot of these, and so I wanted to pull up some of these similar questions that keep popping up. And one of them is that I've mentioned that we're doing like an 80-20 split, where we're focusing 80% of our time on marketing, focused on targeting devs and projects, and trying to grow our ecosystem that way, and spending about 20% of the time on our existing community, as well as bringing in some new people as well. The main reason why we switched to this is because we believe that the whole building up the ecosystem is definitely going to give us that long tail effect of what we're looking for in terms of stability, providing utility. It doesn't make much sense to bring in a lot of new users when there's nothing really for them to do except for hold a coin, sell a coin. And that's what we're kind of seeing with the reflection of the price right now, is that a lot of people are selling. So we definitely need to get some of these projects pushed over the line and get launched. And I feel very confident that some of the things that Kevin and the team has put together in terms of onboarding these new projects that are coming on, I'm pretty excited over the next weeks and months to see what's all coming on board. And so, as again, a lot of you feel like we need to be focusing a lot on users. There will come a time, there will come a place, but to be honest, where we could really lend a lot of our efforts is to help push the projects that come on, introduce them to our own community, as well as help push them as well to grow their own. If we look at it, they're going to be the ones that are going to be targeting those new users, and we're going to be focused on the dev portion of it as well. So just wanted to make that clear so that everybody's on the same page there. The other question that has come up is that there's been a few of you that have been actually sharing the L1X Foundation, and some of you have mentioned that there isn't a team page and wondering why. It's because we've kind of focused that experience more towards being the foundational page. There are a lot of other foundations, Ethereum, Solana, for an example, that don't have a team page as well. However, Binance and a few others like that do have team pages or a little blurb on it. And so what we've done is if you look in the L1X Foundation, L1X App Foundation section, you'll see that there is a team page there. I believe it's right next to the About Us the mission of the Layer 1 blockchain tab there. So if you guys are interested in sharing that information, or if people are interested in seeing that, just make sure that you direct them over there as well. So Mike, do you want to take some of those questions that you have as well?
For sure, mate. No problem. Okay, there's quite a few here. So first question here is around what kind of liquidity we're going to have on the DEX to be launched. Now, do you think the pricing of the pair of L1X USDT is going to be determined in the DEX, given it's now trading at 6 cents in the CEXs? There's probably a couple of little points to make here. One of them is around look, people are not really probably sit there and judge things based on the price, but we're not really concerned about the price overall at the moment, simply because of the phase that we're in. We're in the middle of onboarding projects. The amount of work that Kevin and the development team are doing with those projects has been phenomenal. He's been churning out scope documents and getting on with the projects, building them, then jumping on and putting in place the agreements. We've turned it into a bit of a machine, to the point where Kevin and the development is outstripping the rest of us being able to keep up with him. So that's pretty normal. But those projects are all coming on board. They're all starting to they're working through their builds at the moment, or getting pretty close to it. So we've got things like on the Dex side, we've got staging sitting there. Interestingly, we've actually got a couple other angles coming up around those DEXs, and that is that we're actually working with a particular team. I don't really want to divulge the name yet, because as soon as you hear about it, you'll understand what we mean. That's going to be pretty big. It's an alternative form of DEX, is probably the best way to describe that. We've got a number of other projects, the token minting one as well, being able to get out there and be able to enable new projects to launch their coin. Part of that capability that's coming from that as well is the ability for us to link up to other chains. So one of the problems that that's been talked to me about from one particular project, they've got tokens sitting on, say, BSC, they've got them sitting on ETH and on Avalanche, and they actually can't, their users can't transact, move those tokens onto the current chain. And that's a problem unless they use a bridge, and then they lose quite a lot of their money to fees. So it makes life a lot more difficult. Yes, the DEX will determine the price. What you'll start finding, and we're starting to see this out there, do a little bit of research yourself, that DEXs are actually starting to, okay, the volume may not be there, but it peaks, starts getting up around what CEXs are. And I think the future is DEXs. CEXs themselves are actually centralized by nature. The blockchain is decentralized. So really, the future will be DEXs. That's probably the best way to describe that. So yeah, and the DEX will start dictating it. When you start seeing those projects coming on, and start transacting through us, you start seeing the promotion that's coming out across those projects. Hence why we've got the ecosystem grants pool going to encourage not just our users, but all the users from the other chains that we're connected to, and those projects, to actually start promoting. So we get a lot of that cross-pollination of those projects and their communities with L1X, and that creates a lot of demand for L1X. So yes, okay, nobody likes a low price, which is where it's at the moment. Probably over the next few months to 6 months, you won't see a massive increase, but we'll start seeing an improvement as each of the projects come online. Now, next one is around any considerations to making changes to tokenomics, especially for public sale buyers. No, not at the moment. We put in place the tokenomics to try and ensure that we preserve the price as best we can. It takes time. Go and have a look back at the history. There is actually an image out there. I don't know if Joe maybe can have a search for it and repost it, around some of the changes that have made, the price changes that have occurred in some of the other chains. You look at Solana and you look at ETH and all of those. It took time for those guys to build up. It does not happen overnight. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of projects, a lot of sleepless nights. Look at Cody, look at Kevin. All of us really get stuck in on it. I think I finished my last call about 12:30 this morning. Cody's been going all night. Now, it takes time to build this up. You've got an extremely dedicated team, both here and over in India and elsewhere around the world, that are working towards it. So our objective is to get those projects on and have that natural increase in the price, so it's sustainable, not some ramp up where you get a massive ramp up, people dump and sell. We don't want that. We want this to be sustainable. and a steady price increase, and then you'll get to where you want it to be, and it'll sustain the volume going through. Okay, so the next one is around the alpha growth and bringing the DEXs so far. Yes, they're in progress, and it's actually going to be multiple DEXs that are coming, probably one after another. There's one I haven't spoken to Kevin about yet, but I think he's gonna like what we're going to put forward. So we'll have a catch up about that one tomorrow.
Yeah, I can take it before you can go again if you want.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. So the other question is, can the node dev team provide a daily summary of the health of the node environment, known issue tracker, fixes in flight, outage notification, also a place to formally log node enhancement request? I think there is another question as well that can be merged to this one, which is the maintenance of the nodes and how it is managed, basically how we do the updates. Okay, so there are two answers to this. First one is that the Explorer has the validator list and the blocks that the validators have actually participated into. Now, what's going to happen is once we have these nodes up and running, 400 nodes is the benchmark. And once we get to those numbers, probably in the next 8 weeks or so, we will have the X score present in the Explorer. So the X score being present in the Explorer is going to give you the health check of the node from the consensus algorithm perspective. Now, if you want to look at how your nodes are performing on AWS or the servers, then you can definitely use something like CloudWatch or any cloud monitoring system that is natively built into that cloud service provider. With regards to communicating with the node operators and keeping them informed, we recently had a hot patch. So whenever we have a hot patch, you don't have to do anything manually, and we will provide information to you that sometimes the nodes will halt and restart itself and catch up to the most updated block height. But with regards to the communication, we'll have a dedicated channel on Discord where regular updates will be provided. I think someone is typing. Can you please?
Sorry, mate, that was me.
Share. Okay, so regular updates will be provided on Discord channel in terms of hot patches, or even if you need to manually update the nodes. We are trying to keep it down to once a month, the manual update process, but because we are fixing things and optimizing it every week, there is a PR request that has to be merged. So we will be doing hot patches on a weekly basis. So if you do see the nodes halt, don't worry about it. It will restart by itself. With regards to the Docker and kernel updates, we'll provide you automated scripts. So I assume that, because the community gave us good feedback, we optimized the process to host the node, and it was much more simpler than before. We'll provide you automated scripts for that as well. And if you have any sort of suggestions or feedback, I think the node hosting channel that is dedicated for that purpose will be used. So we can use that as our core. If there are certain scripts or there are certain procedures that you require to follow in order to host the node, the developer portal, it has a blog section. So we will update the blog there and share the link to you on Discord. So at all times, you just keep a track on that Discord channel if you're a node operator, and you will know when certain things are going to be done with a buffer time of at least 24 to 48 hours. Okay. When will the L1X wallet support hardware wallet signing, two-factor authentication with the advances other wallets are making? I think this question it's not good being the fastest, cheapest, leaky bucket in crypto. We want it to be more secure and robust. So the X wallet basically was being checked even by the exchanges. So the X wallet code also were given out to the exchanges, if I'm not terribly wrong, to check. And that is how they are also using the wallet SDK to go and allow you to deposit and withdraw from the core. So the X wallet is not our focus. But that being said, the wallet SDK that we are working upon is going to have all the methods that are available that MetaMask has, and it will be made public, probably in the next 2 weeks or so, because the projects that are currently working with us, they have the X wallet code. So they will require it to integrate. And the reason for that is because we did not have an interface that would allow some other projects to use the X wallet. So we had to provide them the code. Now that we have created the method, we'll make it public with the wallet code so that other projects can use it as well. With regards to the security, we will pick up the import using seed phrase, and it will be done by the month of July. So that update will be pushed out then. I think I also provided MetaMask related configuration. So just to touch upon that, right now you can go and query and make state changing calls on L1X EVM using the L1X MetaMask network. But at the same time, if you wanted to build on L1X EVM, we have updated the RPC endpoints with the chain ID as well. I think one of the team member can, if you have the link, please post it right there, because this was requested by a lot of devs as to what is the RPC for L1X EVM. So please share it if you have it. So, okay, the next one is the dev portal is nice to have and focused place to go. However, the channels are not. It needs threads to be useful. Okay. I think I agree with this. But at the same time, we will optimize the messaging side of things on the portal. And the reason for that is you can, of course, do it on Discord, right? But we wanted to create this hub of developers where they don't have to go back and forth between the communication, maintain two different IDs. When they are speaking to someone, this communication that is going on, we don't have that, but at least the credibility of the developer will be built over there. So that's how we positioned the developer portal. But we'll wait, let's say, for the next 2 weeks, and still if the developers are not happy with it, we will definitely start a channel on Discord as well and temporarily pause the dev portal spaces, for communication and see how Discord goes. Okay, so it's great to hear 25 new developers have been hired to accelerate the project. How do you ensure that these new hires don't have malicious intentions? Yeah, it can be pretty hard, sometimes, where certain devs have access to certain parts of code. And so what we have done is we have a very thorough, check on the person. And that being said, if anybody's been following my Twitter post, you know that I would go to that person's house and bring him across in India. So I think in India, there is complete control over the developers from that perspective. They will not do that. But there are certain developers, even we are hiring outside India, and we do have certain mechanisms. We do not track their computer. We don't key log it. So we don't know exactly what they're doing. But based on their activities on GitHub that we have, we can see each and every, movements. And of course, before any changes are made, there is always, reviews that are done by the team leads, and only those changes are pushed out. So it's pretty secure development practice that we follow. Until now, it has not happened. So I hope it doesn't happen, and we will control it as much as we can. I think this report thing again has come up, which is why prioritize L1X VM IR secure rating over L1X VM. Okay, so there is a confusion here, right? What I think is the report that was sent out, there are two reports. One was the VM report and one was the process report. The process report had certain flags. The VM report was actually correct, like it was secure enough, and that's currently available as well. So we have not prioritized that. But if you talk about prioritization from the consensus perspective and the xtop perspective, the VM had to be prioritized first so that we know that there is no leakage in terms of determinism in smart contract execution. Because if there was a leakage there, the consensus wouldn't make any sense, even if it was secured or not, because the contracts wouldn't execute the way it should be executed. But that being said, I have some other questions where I will be touching upon the consensus audit and the xtop audit as well. So please be patient. Okay, so how much funding has the project raised and how has it allocated and utilized? I think it's time to like mention this question. And I think, I was active on Twitter and a lot of people in there, they're a lot very supportive. There are certain people, not saying very good things about the project. And I think it's good marketing. So I definitely promote certain people to give me, curse me on Twitter so that Twitter picks it up and promotes it because I need that promotion. So please do that. Whoever is doing it, I appreciate it. Thumbs up to that. But again, we did raise some money, in the private and public sale. We reached the minimum threshold of it. But to be completely transparent right now, more than 50% of the funding is done through me personally. And I think the team here, they know that very well. So how do I get the money? Of course, I have made money through my previous projects. And yes, so we do have 18 months of runway to go the way we are going. And that being said, the core developers, 2 of them are paid in USD. The application team in India, they are paid in USD. Certain ops guys are paid in USD a little bit, but remaining are on L1X coins with vesting, right? And I think we can sustain it, and we will raise some money in the next 6 months. Once the projects go out there, there is evidence, there is validation that this technology is actually working. We will definitely raise some money once the price is a bit healthier. I'm not too concerned about the price right now. That being said, it's not like I don't care. I'm not too concerned because we still have to prove the project's work, right? We have so much of fat that we can accumulate to get it so much healthier. And that's what we are currently focused upon. If I was just focused upon the price, maybe the projects would get missed and the price would never improvise. But focusing on the projects and bringing them on board is what we are doing right now. And gradually it will improvise. Like, it's not a meme coin. I have been very clear since the very beginning that if you're not in this for the long run, it may not suit your portfolio. But those selling the coins, please go ahead and start selling everything you want. I don't really have a problem with it, but it's going to bite you up your ass once the price goes up. So remember my words for this. Okay. Okay, so I think one other question over here was, do you think the goal of reaching 1 billion transactions is realistic? Yes, I think it's definitely realistic. I don't know why you would think otherwise, but it's definitely realistic. Nothing has changed. No morale has been lost in the team. Nothing's changed. We are, following what we were supposed to follow, and we are doing what's supposed to be done. So, and in fact, I'm more active than ever. So I think nothing's changed. And if it's changed, it's for the better. Are we going to go hard push BTC narrative? Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. I think, we do have, limited attention that we can create for the people. So we have already integrated Solana. The documents are out there. It's going to be available on the swap and the stake page within the next 7 days maximum. So you can go and try it out yourself. The swap and stake page is getting redesigned. And the new Dex that is coming up is also going to have that. We are currently working on Tron and BTC. So by the end of July, we will have successfully integrated Tron and BTC with documentation and on the L1X app and on the Dex. So yeah, if anyone here wants to take a bet with me, I'm happy to do it. But some extra income for me. But yes, by the end of July, we should have Tron and Bitcoin integrated. Yeah, I saw this question. So are you aware that competitors intensifying, such as Bitget launching their own wallet and even XLR launching its own VM? I said this back in 2021 that cross-chain and multi-chain technology is not possible without VM and state management features. I said it long back ago. I see the post from XLR wanting to go and create their own VM on Cosm Wasm, on Cosmos SDK in 2023. So, I even heard Polkadot's vision of multi-chainness, where they want to go out of Polkadot with a generic combined VM and state management. So I think it's good, right? I mean, there is nothing wrong with it. So, but it takes a lot. Like, one thing that I am happy about is that we stuck to what the vision was, and today what we are actually building is the same thing. And the xtop engine is completely built to be multi-chain. So when that time comes and these guys are pushing the narratives that we need a VM for multi-chain, that's good. It helps us to show that we have already thought about it long back before you. We have better technology. We don't need to build on Cosmos to prove that it works. So I think this is good marketing for us, I would say. And of course, there's always going to be someone copying someone's vision and trying to push it with the resources they have. So it's okay. But we have xtop, and I don't think we need to be worried about anything. Okay, so the other ones are... Okay, when will audit for xtop code be done? Okay, so the VM audit, of course, is completed. The consensus mechanism code will be audited, and we will release it and make it open source in the month of September. So that's the due date that we have. And the xtop code will start getting audited from the month of August until September, and October we will make that open source, October, November. The idea is that before the end of the year, everything audited, everything optimized and made open source, because we have more than, I think, 65 nodes right now that are running in sync. Like, it's a big feat for us as a layer one infrastructure, saying that there are 64 nodes, 65 nodes operating. You go and check any other layer one, see the amount of nodes they have. So it's good information for us because we are continuously optimizing it. And the reason for that also is that the cost to review, and audit codes like that is very expensive. So we want to go through this one cycle of audit after we have optimized it, as much as we can, and then make it open source for the people. But at this particular stage, there is nothing that stops an application from building with us. The new wallet SDK tested by more than 100 developers works, and that's helpful for us. Okay, so there you go. The question for, I think, Matthew has come through. I thought Matthew was the face of L1X, but haven't seen him in any interview. Yeah, I think Matthew has some personal matters to attend to, and Matthew's primarily, Matthew was primarily focused on the ecosystem development. So I had to pick that up along with the core development work. But yeah, so I think once he's done with his personal stuff, he may come back. Yeah, but he's always, I'm sure that he's always a big fan of L1X.
I still talk to him every single day. At the moment, he's
Okay, so what is our current run rate per month in onboarding new projects? Is the run rate sufficient to generate demand for the coin utility? Okay, so let me give you a brief, right? I took over the, Matthew was already doing a great job, but I took over the ecosystem development on the 7th of June. And I had 3 days to formulate a strategy on how to onboard projects, keeping in mind that we need these many transactions, but we also have only that many developers, right? And that's the way I do things. Like, I first describe the rules that I need to follow. Like, we don't have this, we don't have this, we don't have this, and now you need to make it work. So how do you do that? So since then, I have spoken to 8 projects, and I've been, out of which 5 of them have gone into an agreement stage. 2 have already started building, and remaining 3 are preparing scope documents. So the 3 of the other projects out of the 5, they were service-based companies. And I think the service-based companies have a very strong narrative, how they can push L1X as the default multi-chain infrastructure. But we have the ecosystem grants pool, then we have the hackathon, then we have onboarding the projects, based on the top 20 that we require. Then we also have the improvement proposal from the development side, and now we have the service-based companies that we need to push. And I am thinking to go back to Australia and come back again to India, where I will go and talk to all these service-based companies to push L1X, create a selling point there and do it. But I need to get my hands off the hackathon and the improvement proposal first before I go and do that, so that they have enough projects available to go and show as as validation that okay, these things work. And that being said, we have also compiled all the access control, version control, data control contracts, gaming contracts, Provatar username contracts, and the hackathon is going to take all these contracts. We have more than 25 type of contracts we have created, and give it to these developers and service-based companies to take the current infrastructure of usernames and make it more utilitative. So that's where the hackathon prizes are actually focused upon. So what will happen is, because we had a bottleneck in terms of how much we can do, we will delegate it to them with that 500,000 USDC price. I think that's a good number to motivate anyone to come and start building with us. So I've already released information on that, initial information on my Twitter. So if you can go and follow, you will see the hackathon where top 10 are getting rewarded. So I at least hope that if there are 4 developers, each, and 40 developers win, out of 40, at least there are 400 developers that come in on the 2024 L1X hackathon. And it's, I think, very much possible.
To kind of add to that, the AMA series that we do has been proven to be a very, very instrumental tool for us to be able to get in front of a lot of different projects. Likewise, to Kevin's point about this 500 USDC, I've dropped it in 3 AMAs that I was on yesterday, and I think we'll have a good influx of people because I plan on doing that every day that I'm on an AMA. So, but likewise, a lot of the projects that Kevin has mentioned have come from personal referrals from people within the community. So definitely, if you've got projects that you're invested in or currently participating in, don't hesitate to reach out to. I'll put Joe as the kind of collection guy to get it over to Kevin so that we can, and the rest of the BD team, so that we can take a look at it. But that's what we need to do, is just kind of go through that grind a little bit until people can really understand who we are and what we do. Because it's interesting, as I'm on these AMAs and I'm talking about interoperability and xtop and what it can do. It's amazing how people generalize us with just normal bridges, even though I say that we're bridgeless and explain it out that way. And so it's imperative that we kind of keep that narrative going, that we're bridgeless and what we can do, because once they have that aha moment, that's when we can usually have a really good quick phone call with them, and we can hand them off to Kevin, and they're practically sold at that point, right? And so I think everybody here has had an aha moment, so you know what it's like, and I just encourage you guys to keep opening your mouth.
Yeah, and I think, just speaking on that, right? So what happened was we had more than 100 applications that had come in from Typeform, from the website. And in the first 3 days of me analyzing what to do, what should be the process to onboard projects, I analyzed all these 100 applications. And then it struck me as to if what's the most ideal process to get these guys onboarded and start the development, so that we are not constrained by the bottleneck. And I've been more than I've been very happy to get on certain projects. I've got on the first call with the founders, and they've agreed, and let's do it, right? 40 minutes they're in. So the first call that we do is basically the project procurement stage, where I created a calendar link and I sent it to all these 100 projects, right? And out of that, to my surprise, 40% of them booked the meetings. So one project, one call a day, 1 hour, Monday to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm of course coding, but for the next 8 weeks, it's done. And then when I get on these calls, the requirements that we have is from the development support. What do you need? Do you need knowledge transfer? Do you need smart contract development? Do you need integration level help? Do you need front end level help? Do you need L1X core help? Right? Majority of them, I try to push them towards the knowledge transfer, saying that we have all these scope docs created, Miro diagrams created for you. If you do the development yourself, we will increase the grant amount, and I'll explain to you what the grant structure is as well. So out of the 5 projects that have already, agreed, to my surprise, all of them are based on knowledge transfer. So basically, they have their own dev team, and we are just doing the knowledge transfer to them right now. So this helps us to increase the number of projects building with us quickly. And the way the grant program is set up is, I am a little bit, tight ass when it comes to giving out these grants. So when the project starts up, I give them 10% bootstrap grant of the L1X coins, and it can be like 200,000 coins, 10%, 20,000 coins. And the remaining 90,000 is going to be given on the successful release of the milestone 1 of the project. Because what was happening was, when I looked at the scope docs, I saw that there was like 5 or 6 months or 8 months of development work structured, where the milestones were testnet, milestone 1, testnet milestone 2, testnet milestone 3, and then 5 or 6 milestone, and then the mainnet testing. So I flipped that and I said, we are going to do it in stages now. Stage 1, testnet mainnet release. Stage 2, testnet mainnet release. So the Shuffle NFT marketplace, for example, if you look at that scope doc, we have native marketplace being built on L1X first. 4 weeks it should be done. Then we start integrating with one marketplace each, rather than building the whole thing, losing momentum and not having any project out. So that scope doc was the most important thing, where I restructured it, and I think that helped start the development work, and me promising that by the end of July we should have at least 3 projects. And one of them is a game which has been on the top charts of some major network. That is where the transactions will come from. So I am trying to position it, but because these Calendly links, they can go and schedule anytime. The hardest thing in there is, like, if there is one component that can be built and used by 3 different projects, I want them to fit into the same peak, but I can't do that. So I am trying to reorganize the Calendly in that particular order, so I can get these 3 teams working together for the same module and reuse that for themselves, reducing the grant that we have to give and increasing the time of development. But it is working until now. So we currently have the Dex in development. We have the NFT marketplace in development. We have multi-chain token builder in development, and we have 6 games under development. So 3 of these 4 will be released by the end of July. I don't know which ones they are, but at least 3 of these. And then, of course, we need to maintain the pace for 3 each, so that then once this native development happens, the xtop integration comes in the stage 2. So we have these transactions going on, at least in the beginning stages. Why did Diga Lab stop their project with us and presumably chosen to go with another interoperability competitor? I actually don't even know who they have gone to, but I kind of think that we did build the contracts out for them, but I think the communication, there must have been some form of miscommunication in the development teams that were working together. And I think I take the blame for that, because I was focusing more on the core. That's how we could release the nodes and all those things. But now I am focusing more on the application team. So, that's where, and it's hard. Like, I got to position myself as a project procurement person, sometimes as a core guy, and then as the application guy. And the pace at which I try to work, the other, spaces, they lag behind. So I'm trying to be, in these three areas, trying to pull it up. So I do believe that now that, we have a solid structure in place on the application team, we will make sure that these projects go out in time. So when the money runs out in 2 years, what price does the team need L1X to be at? Look, I think, I don't think the price is going to be low for a long time. Like I'm sure that, things will pick up. But let's say, okay, the question comes in and, okay, if I have to answer this question, what I would say is we will raise money, of course. Even if the price is low, we might try to do some deal. And there are people who are willing to, invest at the current prices as well. But we are not willing to do it because it's going to take in a lot of coins to get that kind of money. But anyways, let's say if we need more money after 2 years, I have assets that I'm willing to sell and fund the project like any founder would do, right? Because I know later on I'm going to make some good money out of it. So we do have a plan in place if that's what you're trying to ask. But I'm positive that things will improvise in terms of the price, where if you look at, for example, Solana, for the first 15 months, the price was always low. Then all of a sudden it goes from 80 cents to $250 in a span of like 8 months or 6 months, right? So we got to be ready. There's going to be a moment that comes through. Some VC comes in, at a higher price. Some VC comes in and sees, okay, I like the multi-chain narrative. I think this should work. I can make some money over here. Let me go and buy. That's the time I think that push will come. And it has to come, right? People want to make money. And if we show them the projects, we show them that the technology works, then definitely there will be, opportunities for the price of the coin to increase. And I don't think it's going to be there for a long time. And one more thing, I think on the price as well, I'm happy that people are selling, to be honest with you, because the non-believers should go out. Like, good, wash them out. So, and probably maybe I may be checking the price of the coin like once in 2 days. That also I've got a notification on my laptop. That's how I check it. I'm not even bothered for the next 3 months, 4 months. Just get the projects going, and then we'll worry about those things. So have the Dex Marketplace token launcher project started working on cross-chain with xtop? Are they having no problem with xtop? Okay. Yeah, so the Dex is already on the staging for the V1. No issues so far. The NFT marketplaces guys have already used the SDK they're building. We haven't received any questions so far. And the token builder guys are starting to build, so we'll wait on their feedback. But at the same time, I think there are more than 100 developers who went and tried the deployment, even for xtop, right, contracts. So they did mention certain things that we could add into the content, but nothing that was a showstopper, like nothing because of which this does not work. So if there are any developers in here, you can go to the SDK, you can look at the xtop contracts, and you can try to build it, right? And if there is someone who can prove it to me that, I think using technology B and C, it is easier to build a multi-chain application, I am willing to learn from that person. But until now, we have looked at so many different SDKs, and I feel that building a multi-chain application SDK with a VM, not copying someone's vision and trying to building it from before with a VM was pretty hard. But I think we have tried to work it out right now, and it works. Yeah, I think that's all with my questions.
I'll take a couple of other questions here. So there's one here from Too Crispy. Why we're not on Uniswap or Pancakeswap? We are talking. I can't say whether we're talking directly to these ones, but we are talking to a number of them. You could be pretty close with those dexes. So what else have we got here? And I think I sort of answered it a little bit in the chat, but there's one here about the coin utility. In the last AMA has answered that the way forward is to continuously improve the value of L1X coin. Utility is the key. focus on onboarding and supporting new projects while nurturing our ecosystems growth. Kevin's already gone through a lot of the projects and things that we've got on that we've got coming on board. They're the ones that we've actually pushed across to Kevin already, but there's a lot more that are coming in the wings and are coming up every week that we're talking to. So yes, the whole idea here is that when you're working through these projects, at one point you'll come across that one project that will give you that massive volume, and then from there you'll start getting the second one and the third one. And we're working through a number of ideas to actually give us that much larger exposure and capability. So it's all work in progress. Kevin's working through it as fast as he can on the back end dev side, and that's the key. Once we get those projects on, we get them out there and they're working, we've actually got then showcase the full capability of L1X, and then take it to the next level with the other projects as they come on board, because they'll then be able to self-onboard. That's the key thing. Kevin's working through that, I think, fairly well. See if there's any others. Cody, did you have any other questions in there for you?
Yeah, I've got one. How do we generate sufficient projects, or at least change sentiment before the tokenomic cliff finishes August for vesting coins? That's a great question. I mean, we've touched upon it already quite a bit. I mean, it really just boils down to, like Kevin was saying, is like he just said a second ago, he wants people to sell. If they're not happy with the project, go ahead and sell. It's all about shaking the tree, getting the dead leaves out of our beautiful tree we're growing here, and moving forward. And I definitely agree with them that people are going to be kicking their own ass when they basically look back on this AMA a couple of years from now and really realize, like, holy crap, I really missed the boat on that one. And hindsight 2020, right? So get rid of all the paper hand holders, that kind of stuff. But talking about the sentiment of the community, it really boils down to just how people are talking within our own community. If you've engaged with me, you'll know that I keep a very I check my emotion at the door when I'm talking to you. I do make fun of myself sometimes of standing in front of the firing squad, and it's been fun having a couple of you guys kind of jump in on that conversation a little bit and provide your support. But it really is just about checking your emotion at the door and having an adult conversation. And when you don't know where people are coming from, when it's financial kind of situation, it is a very touchy subject for people, and I'm not dismissing that by any means. But it's kind of hard when emotion is in the conversation to actually find a resolution, find a solution to move forward. And pointing fingers, name calling, doing stuff like that. I mean, we've got to change that narrative. And one of the best ways to do that is what we're doing right now, is literally going line by line, grabbing all of your guys' questions and going through it and answering these questions that you guys have had. We've created a specific section within Discord now to address those as well. And so that's how we're going to change the sentiment, is by opening up the lines of communication even more so, and deal with facts rather than speculation. There's a couple of times that I've kind of stepped in and corrected people from some of the FUD that they've been spreading around. And I'm happy to engage with you guys. I'm happy to answer your questions. And I know our mods are. Shout out to our mods. And they do a great job. And you got to remember that these guys are human as well. They have to log off at the end of the day and have a life afterwards. And just remember that. And it's always easy to be a armchair quarterback, is what I call it, from the sidelines, telling it how it should be. But instead of doing that, maybe jump in and see what you can do to help, type of things. If you don't like it, I'm happy to listen to your suggestions. Keep them coming. And that's how we're going to change sentiment. But like Kevin said, if vesting comes and people want to sell their coins, go for it. We are confident. That's why we're here. That's why we're up all night, many days of the week, pushing things, pushing the narratives, pushing projects through. We're not going anywhere. Kevin, you heard it from Kevin. He's going to put in his own money if he has to down the road to keep this thing going, because it is truly something miraculous that we are working on. So that's how we're going to change sentiment.
Yeah, I think, just on that, right? I think one of the thing is, like, I see everything on Discord, right? And for the last 2 to 3 weeks, I think the sentiment is very positive, right? Or I'm into someone else's Discord, and maybe I'm looking at the wrong things, right? But I see some frequent names there, and there are certain people who message me as well. I try to get back to them as soon as possible. Like we had those node hosting guys who was, put in the wrong slots, and we corrected it and given them the first slots. So we try to do as much as possible. But at the end of the day, as much as I would like to, say I'm not being cocky, but there is only one Kevin Coutinho, right? I wish there were 2 or 3, and I got to work with what I have. So I am trying my best to push everything possible, but we have an excellent team that believes in this vision and that is doing everything they can to push it on a daily basis with the constraints they have. So hold in tight. It's going to work out. I'm not going anywhere. If I have to, I'll put in my own money, which I'm already doing, by the way, right? But we will make this work. So don't worry about the price too much. Just relax. I understand that you may need the money, sell. If you need the money and you're okay with the price, sell, right? But we are doing everything we can to make sure that this thing stays strong and it goes out, to the next level. And you have seen me doing it on Twitter, openly challenging Layer 0 guys, betting my house if they come on the call, right? How many tweets have you seen from founders that do that? So, we are doing everything we can and we'll get there. We are progressing, right? So check the progress every 4 weeks, and you will see that we are improvising.
Hey, I gotta jump to a partnership meeting. So great seeing everybody or hearing everybody in the chat. I'll see you guys on Discord. See you guys later.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks, Cody. I think that's we've covered a lot of the questions there as well. I think even some from the comments as well. And I think that's been a pretty good wrap up of everything from the Ask the Team channel, which has been really, really good. I think allowing us to be able to segment it into one spot so we can get the answers of the community and get everything out and explained in a way that's suitable. And obviously this time recorded, we've nailed that this time. It's a much, much better outcome than last time. So I think it's that's been really good, progressive to be able to put this in front so that we can get everything answered that needs in the community. Because I guess there are questions, they come up, and I know from, as an example, from a dev perspective, obviously the focus is on building stuff. It's not necessarily in trying to answer questions on the front end. So it's having that ability to be able to have these moments so we can go through everything, which is really good. I think
Yes, mister.
one or two more questions here in the chat.
Yeah, sorry. Just on that, like I don't do anything to the SDK. Like the SDK is the same, but still I'm onboarding the projects. So I think it's like the process that I follow is until it is completed. Right, I'm an output guy. Until it is done, get it done. So we will definitely see projects going live much faster. And once we have these first 20 projects, right, in the next 12 months, first 8 projects in the next 4 months, I'm sure things are going to escalate much faster than we even think it's going to.
Absolutely. I think we're even seeing a little bit of that now as well. Things starting to have the snowball effect. Things starting to pick up, and I mean that's going to be. It will be like that. I think they say first it's none, then it's slow, then all at once is basically how that goes. So I see that there's a couple more questions here. Just I think it's two or three more. When is L1X planning to introduce stable coins like USDT, USDC into L1X chain? And when will the Block Explorer support all tokens minted on L1X like BDX?
Yeah, I think it's still time. I don't know. First, let's just focus on the projects that we are onboarding. Let's get them going. Then we'll look at anything else.
Fair. And can we know more about the upcoming DEX? Is it like AMM, like every blockchain has, or is it the first multi-chain DEX like L1 DEX pitched to us?
First multi-chain DEX.
Fantastic.
And just look, Joe, I'll just add to that we're doing with the DEX. There's core features that we're going out with, which will be the minimum viable product to get it out there to market. Then we've also got a timeline for the additional features that are needed in it, and we'll be continuously adding capability, continuously adding chains as we move forward with those as well. So that's the best way to look at it, is that, you know, being the first multi-chain, that's one hell of an achievement. Then you start adding those other capabilities in that they just don't exist today out there in the market. And then we've also got a number of other projects and products coming along as well, DeFi related, that will actually help the capabilities of the DEX to enhance it.
Fantastic. And I think this would be the last one then. Are there any crypto events or conferences, meetups, etc., that the L1X team are attending in the coming months and year?
Yeah, the hackathon, of course. Yeah, you want to go ahead, Mike?
Yeah. So hackathon, absolutely. We're really focusing on the areas where it's going to make a difference. If we had gone across to Token 2049 in Dubai, or one of the team members did, but it can help, but there's also times when you go across to some of these events and you don't get a lot. We got a lot out of the event in Melbourne. There was one of the other events that we attended over in Dubai the last time, and we didn't have a huge amount out of that. We've got some, and we're still talking to a lot of the people over there. But you've got to work out where you're going to get the best bang for your spend. So we'll take it very, very careful and focus on those projects, exactly as we've been saying. Get those onboarded, start promoting out there across through the ecosystem grants pool, the projects themselves, so that we actually get access and exposure through the communities of those projects. And then you'll start seeing some fairly exponential growth. That's what we're aiming for. That's our focus.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think just just on that, so for the next, so I put the timeline on Twitter. So if you haven't, please go and follow and keep a track on there. Until September, we will have the hackathon going on, and with the hackathon, the intention is that the projects that are building on ecosystem grants pool, there are certain projects that will be missed out in terms of the uniqueness and innovativeness. So the hackathon is focusing on those 10 projects at least, that we need to release, let's say, in the next 3 to 4 months. So that's number one, according to the campaign. And number two, we will also have some form of service-based campaign that I go to the tech companies over here and make sure that we sell L1X, making sure that they push this to the other people. Apart from these two, I don't really think this year we need to focus on anything else. Let's just get those projects going and the hackathon going, show the demonstration of the tech, make the code open source, and we should be fine for the coming year.
Fantastic. I think that's a pretty good wrap on all the questions that we had. I can't see any more there. I don't think there's any more in the chat. So I guess a little bit longer than our standard one by 10 minutes, but any closing statements from you guys? I know Cody had to duck off early, but anything from you guys?
From me, I'm just going to touch a little bit on the coin price again. And look, I have put this in the chat, and I'm going to repeat it. But if you go back and look at the history, and he who fails to listen to history is bound to repeat it. Go and look at the history of some of the other layer ones out there in the market in their first year or even the first couple of years of their launch. Have a look at the price. Look at Bitcoin. Go all the way back. When did it start increasing? It took a bit of a groundswell to get that momentum to get up to where it is now. You look at the others, whether it's Solana or Ethereum or any of those the other layer ones. It takes a little while for some of these the solutions to get out there. I think we're going to be faster than them, a hell of a lot faster, but it still takes that little bit of time to get it up to speed. Think of it like a freight train. Starts off slowly, gets up to speed.
Yeah, I think I already said what I had to. It's just time to focus on the projects. I don't really, have a lot of I don't really think about the price or any negative feedback that I get or blames that that people put on certain things. This is one of those things that I have to be ready for it, and it doesn't bother me at all. That's why I am where we have built L1X up to this stage, at least, right? So yeah, keep giving your support, please, and follow me on Twitter if you really want every 2-hour updates on things. Yeah, so thank you for all your support, and I'll see you in the next one.
Fantastic, and thanks everybody for being here. Thanks for the community, and big thanks to Kevin, Chief, and also to Cody for jumping on at all different times of the night, and obviously diligently going through those questions from the Ask the Team chat. I know it's deeply appreciated from the community side as well that we have those transparent answers, and that they're getting heard as well. So massive appreciation both ways to the community and also to the team. But yeah, we will continue to endeavor to obviously do these on a regular basis so everybody's still in the loop, give you regular updates, and we will be seeing you very soon. Thanks everybody, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Kev.